Yo, what's going on guys? My name is Velric and today we're going to be talking about what updates RuneScape desperately needs when it comes to content. And I really want to make a distinction between content updates and more deep-rooted issues, like for example, better servers. Because right now, whilst I'm making this, they're doing server maintenance, which is a really good thing and I'm happy they're doing it. That's also why there's no intro, because I couldn't edit cinematics or get cinematics to do it. But that's besides the point. But things like, for example, fixing the early game, which is a very deep-rooted issue, in my personal opinion, that needs to be addressed, but isn't really something that is full-on content. That's just something that needs to happen for the game. Same with certain quality of life or bug fixes. You get the point. These are actual content updates, and I want to know from you, what kind of content would you like to see in RuneScape 3 compared to, for example, old school RuneScape? Because I'm drawing a lot of these ideas from old school RuneScape. So let me know in the comment section down below. Leave a like in this video if you do enjoy it. Subscribe if you're new. Still trying to get as close to 5k as humanly possible. Follow my Twitch channel. I'm live every single day at 5 p.m. game time. That's 7 p.m. EU time and 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Live on Twitch. Link in the description. And let's just get into the video. So first things first, I want to address something that, you know, is very close to my heart, because it's one of my favorite bosses, and that's why you see the gameplay in the background of Croesus. I absolutely love Croesus, and I think that Croesus is the best skilling boss that is in either RuneScape or old school RuneScape. And that's not blaming old school RuneScape's bosses, because they have many more, and I think their bosses are more like skilling methods / mini games, and we'll get into that when I get to my second point, because surprise, surprise, it's things like Winterthought or Guardians of the Rift, but we'll get into it, group skilling pretty much. But Croesus is an amazing skilling boss in my opinion, because it generally feels like you're working together as a team to take down this big boss, in this case Croesus, to be able to get your rewards. It is very rewarding when it comes to loot-wise. It's less rewarding experience-wise, but it's still okay-ish experience whilst you get a lot of money. And I think that is a very fine balance, and that's what makes Croesus really good. And I think it's a good thing that, you know, it's best done in 4 players, because it feels like you're contributing. And that is something that will lead us perfectly into, for example, a Winterthought or a Guardians of the Rift or whatever. I know that these minigames can be done in smaller groups, but they are mainly done in bigger masses, which is great. And I think it's something that RuneScape 3 definitely needs to add. But I do feel like in Winterthought, for example, if you mess up, it doesn't really affect the kill. Obviously, if you do it solo, duo, or whatever, you can have it affect the kill. But the main method, with still really good experience, I think it's like 300k experience an hour, which is huge for old school RuneScape. It's like, if I don't participate, it won't change a thing. And with Croesus, I feel like I need to participate. So I would love to see more skilling bosses, maybe do a little bit of better balancing, because especially the points in Croesus are a bit weird, because the majority of points come from the mid-energy fungus. And getting points from that, and the majority of them, even if you do everything like perfectly, if you get the resources really quickly, you sometimes get less points, which makes no sense to me. But hey-oh, fix that and we have a good other skilling boss. But when it comes to things like Winterthought or Guardians of the Rift or Volcano or Giant's Foundry or whatever it's called, it's like a smithing, skilling boss-ish mini-game thing, it's good. And I think RuneScape 3 should really start looking into adding them. Maybe not necessarily call them skilling bosses, because I don't feel like they're actual boss encounters. Like I said, I feel like Croesus is a good skilling boss. And I feel like Thoth or Guardians of the Rift or Volcano are more like group skilling methods or whatever. And I would love to see it, because yeah, sure, I have a certain opinion about group content in this game, as my, you know, viewers that watch me for a long time know. I don't like forced group content, because a lot of the group content is dead. But if you make something like a Guardians of the Rift or a Winterthought or whatever, and make it one of the best skilling methods when it comes to that skill, then people will be doing it, and people will always be doing it, especially if you do it on dedicated worlds, and maybe even limit people to certain worlds to be able to do it, so people don't go out of their way to like solo or duo or whatever if you have to, but make it so it's rewarding in experience, because that is the main issue right now when it comes to minigames or any group content, besides obviously group bosses, but that's slightly different. But when it comes to minigames, it's mainly like, A, they're not rewarding in experience, and B, they're not rewarding in money. And I think something like this, which you can do in groups and can be boosted and whatever, should not be rewarding in money. When it comes to money, like monetarily, it should be rewarding to a certain extent. You should make a couple of mil, but you should be making like 60 mil an hour on average, like you do at Croesus, for example, over obviously time if you get all the drop, blah, blah, blah. But I think it should be more rewarding on the skilling side. And especially if the skilling side is maybe just slightly less experienced than the absolute best training method in game. And scale it in such a way that whatever level you're at, that the best method, for example, let's say, I don't know, let's call mining, for example, that level 80 mining is still like 10 experience an hour, 10k experience an hour better, and you make a little bit more money, but, or sorry, you make a little bit less money, but the skilling boss makes more money and get less experience, or, you know, it's slightly better experience than whatever is at level 80 mining, but you make slightly less money than you would at 80 mining. So there's like pathways to choose between like, oh, you know what, I want to be able to do regular mining because I want to make money whilst doing it, or I'm going to do the quicker training method way via this, whatever, this skilling boss, and then, you know, I make less money, but I get my experience a little bit quicker. Just have that balance in between, so you're not fully just destroying everything else in the game and making one thing a complete method, because that is not really the right thing to do. But onto something even more PvM related than a skilling boss, I know it's not really PvM, but you get the point, is proper practice modes. And I know this is more kind of in the theme of what I said I wouldn't be talking about, but I feel like RuneScape could really do with a practice mode, and I feel like the system is already in place. Carapac has a snapshot system, which pretty much takes a snapshot of your account when you click on the time warp ability, and then when you do everything in the time warp ability, it will time warp you 10 seconds back to your snapshot. How about making the snapshot in front of a boss encounter when you click practice mode, or as soon as you click practice mode, you can do the boss, use your supplies, and as soon as the boss is killed or the boss is, you know, not killed and you die, you go back to your snapshot with the trade-off that you will not get loot, period. Because right now you cannot get loot and you will lose your supplies, which, why? Like, I understand that you don't want to give loot for a practice mode because it's a safe environment, right? But still, I think it's good. And sure, practice mode is something that you can put a little bit more in the back burner right now because the recent dev cost rework, I definitely feel that way. But I still think it would be nice, even if it's with like certain presets made by Jagex or something. That would be even better. But I still think RuneScape could really benefit from it, and I really did want to bring it up. However, something that RuneScape is working on, but needs to work on even more as well, is graphically overhauling areas like they did with the free-to-play areas. Tavily, Burfop, and Karamja are up next. They are pretty much finished. They're currently being tested and put into the game pretty much. But I do think like areas like Ardi or Ardoin or whatever, Yanil, Sears, they could really do with like a little bit of a touch-up here and there. And I feel like the team currently is doing an amazing job when it comes to lightning fixes, graphical fixes, and whatever. And they're slowly making the game a lot better. But I would love to see bigger overall graphics, which they did with Lumbridge, Draenor, well, not Draenor, really. Also, remove the dark skybox in Draenor. I know you can change the skybox, but why is Draenor dark, bro? I don't get it. Like, I want to vibe with the willow trees in the sunshine, but I know I can. But that's besides the point. Look, what they did with free-to-play, I think looks really great, and I think it looks amazing, and I think they should do it all over the game, and I really like that graphical style. At least that's my personal opinion. But last but not least, something that is probably the most controversial one that I'm going to be talking about, and I just really want to be talking about, is Clue Scroll update. And not just updates to Clue Scrolls once, no, constantly updating Clue Scrolls like they do in old school RuneScape. When a new area gets released in old school RuneScape, a new Clue Scroll step gets added. And I feel like the essence of Clue Scrolls, at least to me, is going across Gielinor to find these clues or Clue Scrolls and be able to get a casket at the end of it. I know that Clue Scrolls in RuneScape 3 are a bit different. Obviously with, you know, you being able to stack them, you being able to do a lot more per hour than you would be able to do in old school RuneScape. It's about completing them fast enough, but wait, I have a solution for it. How about, for example, you're going to be adding a new area to RuneScape. Let's call it Menethos. I know Menethos is in the game, but you get what I mean, right? Like, Menethos is already in the game. You add Menethos to RuneScape, and instantly with that update, you add a new clue step or a few clue steps to Menethos. I know there are Menethos clue steps, but that is with the last overall. But let's say an even better example. The new 4 and 3 is added. Sure, it replaced the Lumberjack or Lumberyard step, but how about the new Crypts? Have a step in there. And then make it so that with doing the content around the fort, you unlock a teleport that is quite close to that step, so making it not obsolete, because that is something very important when it comes to Clue Scrolls, is the clue scroll steps should be good to do and fast to do, because otherwise the good clue scrollers will just skip it. So make it so that maybe you have to unlock a teleport, which is going out of your way to do some of the content, but then you have a quick clue step unlocked. And I feel like then you're actually going to be exploring the new areas as well whilst doing clue scrolls, and maybe even adding new themed, like, cosmetic things to clue scrolls, like items. Obviously they won't do it because they have something else for that, called Treasure Hunter. But yeah, I would just love to see them incorporating new pieces of content and new areas, and whether it's a big or small area, to clue steps and clue scrolls in general, and adding things in to, you know, make it a bit more exciting. Because right now I'm still going to the same boring places every time I do clue scrolls, and especially elite clue scrolls should use an overhaul, because all it is scan clues or arrow clues, and add some emote clues or some other different types of clues. I don't know, but I would love to see that, because right now it's just you know what I mean? Like, make it more expansive, because I love in old school RuneScape when I log in after a little while and I do a clue scroll and I'm like, I've never seen this step. And then I look up the step and it's like, yeah, this step has been added in 2022. And I'm like, ooh, oh, okay, I'm going to go to this area. And you explore this entire new area and you're like, oh, that's awesome. Because quite frankly, you might not go to certain areas because, you know, like an outskirt of whatever, Anacronia or whatever. You might never go there because there's no point in going there. But if there's a decent teleporter there and you need to do a clue scroll there, you suddenly go there. And I think it's a really good way to have people explore the map a little bit more. But those are some things that I would love to see. Let me know in the comment section down below what you would like to see in RuneScape. If you did enjoy this video, leave a like, subscribe if you are new. And my name's Valric, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Goodbye.